This week's challenge hopefully will be a little bit fun and entertaining. The thumbnail of the knife in the corner is the subject of the challenge. This is a knife being made by Jeremy McCullen. A link to his YouTube channel will be in the description. It's being made out of 14C28N, which is a very interesting steel. It's basically an attempt to upgrade AEBL or 13C26, which is a steel which sets the standard for edge stability in stainless steels. Now, in general, whenever you try to make a steel better, you can generally only do it in certain areas. Because if you increase the performance in one area, it generally decreases in another area. So if you take 13C26 and you add a bit more carbon to it, or you add a bit more chromium to it to try to increase the wear resistance, you get something like 19C27, which is more abrasion resistant. It has better edge holding for slicing aggression, a sort of low sharpness and abrasive material, but then loses that edge stability, loses the ability to take a very fine push cutting edge and to hold a very high sharpness. 14C28N, however, uses nitrogen to form martensite alongside the carbon. And one of the things that does is break up the line between carbon and chromium, because while carbon forms martensite, it also forms chromium carbides, and you have to keep this very delicate mix of carbon and chromium, because you can't just simply put more chromium in there to make steel more corrosion resistant, because it'll actually take the carbon out of the steel and make the steel much softer. So nitrogen is an attempt to actually balance that and produce a steel which can actually be slightly harder, slightly stronger, and slightly tougher and more corrosion resistant. How much of an effect that actually makes compared to 13C26 AEBL is kind of small, and is probably not as significant as the way each one is actually processed. But again, it's an interesting comparison to see if I get some really good knives in 14C28N and compare them to some really good knives in AEBL 13C26. Can I see a difference? So that's kind of an interesting thing to look at. Now, the challenge this week is, this is a custom knife, and by custom I mean we're actually talking about some of the features that I would want, and it's being made with some of those in mind. It's not just a stock model that Jeremy makes. One of the features that I requested is, as with all the rest of the features, specific to that being used as a kitchen knife, obviously. But in retrospect, this last couple of days, I've noticed that it would be kind of important and could even be promoted or utilized by operators. So if you look at that picture in detail, can you pick out the operator level feature of that knife? And at the end of this video, I'll put a blow up of the actual knife, a rather large, so you can have a look at it. And again,